Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Thursday evening to you all. I hope you guys are doing great out there tonight. Had yourselves a wonderful day, and I hope everyone's been having a great week out there so far as we draw a little bit closer to that weekend. And speaking of this weekend, don't you guys agree that this coming weekend is one of the best weekends of the year? Labor Day weekend is like the gateway to the best time of the year, which is September, October, November, December. I know not everybody's going to agree with me. Some people love summer, love spring, but I absolutely love fall. So certainly excited about the days and weeks and months to come. But hopefully you guys have some pretty cool plans planned for this weekend. But back to this, we're here to give you some update information on the tropics. We have this area of interest that now has right now a 40% chance to develop sometime in the next 7 days, but could get bumped up to a 50% chance sometime in the next update or two. So that's what we're here to do. We're going to talk about what's going on with the system right now, the latest from the National Hurricane Center. We'll go over all the latest model guidance. We'll spend some time on that, the Euro, GFS, Canadian ICON model. We'll go over the ensemble guidance. We'll talk about sea surface temperatures, the upper wind pattern, steering currents. That's kind of what we'll nerd out with you guys a little bit like I like to do when we're speaking on the tropics. So we got you covered with a lot of detailed information. So if you folks have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it, and more importantly, if you folks got anything that I can pray about or pray over, as always, please put those in the comments below. So let's get rocking and rolling tonight. So let's make sure this thing is going to work for us. And it is. So this is our area of interest kind of right into here. And I know this doesn't look super impressive. For example, you look a little bit closer to home into the Caribbean. You look at all these areas right here in the yellow, the orange, even the black, the red. There is a lot of tropical moisture impacting like Texas, Louisiana, and just the western Gulf states out here. But as of now, this does not have a percent chance to develop. That could change sometime overnight, but this is dumping a lot of shower and storm activity over the western Gulf of Mexico, including Louisiana and Texas. And then we got these, just areas of storms right here over the greater Antilles. And then we got this big tropical wave right here that is now came off the coast of Africa. Now, there is a little bit of model guidance saying, hey, this does have a chance to develop too. But with all that being said, this is the main focus right here. This circled area here, this is our area of interest. And believe it or not, this has a lot of support from model guidance to develop as it continues to move in general east to west over the next several days. And, it should track right through the Lesser Antilles and then sneak into the Caribbean, where it will have a chance to develop maybe somewhere into here, and then eventually it could strengthen as it moves, I don't know, this way, maybe this way. We just got to figure all those things out. But I think the biggest thing we need to figure out in the shorter term is this big blob of shower and storm convection energy in the Atlantic, is it even going to find a kind of a dominant piece of energy, if you will, and really consolidate and then try to attempt to develop a low-level circulation where it will become a tropical depression. So that's a lot of what we're going to be watching over the next, I would say, like 3 to 5, even 7 days. So this is what's going on as far as current observations in the Atlantic. Believe it or not, this circled area is what we're watching here, even though there's other blobs of colors that look more impressive than this. This is our tropical wave that we are watching right now. It's not even really a wave. It's just kind of in the monsoon trough, and just a lot of activity out here in the tropical Atlantic. So we move to the latest from the National Hurricane Center. Let's see if we got a new update. We do not. So it'll probably drop a new update here in the next 30 to 45 minutes. I have the worst luck with when I make a video. It seems like the National Hurricane Center, even the Storm Prediction Center, does this too. And it's not like they're purposely doing this because of my videos. It's just a timing issue. But I wouldn't be surprised if they bump this up. But as of right at this moment, per around the 2 p.m. update, 1:30, same difference really here. There is a 40% chance for this area of interest, which is where the orange X is, to develop sometime in the next 7 days in this orange area here. Now, if you're asking develop, what does that mean? Develop into a depression or a named storm. So tropical depression, if it gets dubbed that means it has a defined low-level circulation, which basically means it's a tropical cyclone. So that could happen sometime in the next 7 days in this orange area. So it could happen a little bit sooner, obviously, in this portion of the orange area, or it could wait until it gets into the Caribbean, which I'm thinking more so. I'm kind of pushing my chips more into that happening. So latest from the National Hurricane Center, just note this is the information I have as of around 6:45, 7 o'clock Eastern time. So we could get a bump up to a 40 to a 50% chance sometime tonight. Maybe even as high as a 60% chance. We just have to watch. So let's go over all the latest model guides. Let's go over the Euro first. Now, when you're watching this, don't think, well, I don't see anything at all that looks very worrisome. I'm just going to forget about this. Just note that models are struggling with this type setup because you just have a lot of jumbled up shower and storm activity right now in the Atlantic. So what models are struggling with is really latching onto a dominant piece of vorticity, kind of a dominant Vort max, a piece of energy. Let's just quit calling it Vort for now, call it energy. So it's having an issue latching on to that. And I think that's why we've had some wild swings in model guides. For example, if you folks remember back on Monday, I made a video in the evening talking about, oh no, we've had a dramatic shift in model guides. And then for 2 days straight, Tuesday and Wednesday, it was pretty dead out there in model guides. Now, today, especially last night to this morning, things dramatically shifted. So this is the latest that we got from the afternoon Euro. So we're going to start off from Monday evening. So this would be September 2nd, Labor Day, right? See this blob of green here? I know it doesn't look much different in this area of green up here, but this area right here, that is our tropical wave moving into the Lesser Antilles, Leeward Islands, Windward Islands, etc. Could it impact more of the Windward or Leeward? We're not quite sure. Either way, in my personal opinion, if you're tuning in from the Lesser Antilles, I don't think that this is going to develop much between where it's at now and by the time we get in early next week. Don't hold me to that, but that's my personal opinion. But we continue, and you're going to see it periodically kind of pop off an L here, indicating we have some sort of low pressure here, right? And we take it into Tuesday morning. There it is, kind of just fumbling around here in the Eastern Caribbean. And it continues to make its way right through the Caribbean. And we start to get into, this is around Thursday morning, September the 5th, so a little under a week from today. The Euro all of a sudden says, and if you tune in from this morning's video, you'll notice a difference here with the Euro. It's a much weaker system. It's cruising more so zonal, kind of east to west. It's not really turning because a stronger system will want to kind of turn north. A weaker system is probably going to cruise more so east to west, and that's exactly what's happening. This is getting into the Central Caribbean at this point. Of course, you got Jamaica here. You got Hispaniola, Cuba. And then we start to get into about next Friday morning. So, this is like 7.5, 8 days from now. This is starting to bring kind of a weak tropical storm, maybe just a tropical depression right over Jamaica. And it really struggles to get this thing going. And we take it 10 days from right now. Just note, what is it? The evening of August the 29th. So we're taking it all the way to about the morning of September 8th. And we're potentially still talking about this. There's a chance if we end up getting a storm from this, we're going to be talking about it for about the entire first half of September, if this ends up developing into a system. Okay? Just because of the track of this and all of that. So last frame of the Euro, this goes 10 days out. We have a weak tropical storm south of the southern coastline of western Cuba, basically in the western Caribbean. But guess where it's heading? It's heading towards the Gulf of Mexico. Rocket fuel, bathtub waters, and it's hard to convince me that it would not strengthen at some point if we have a weak tropical storm here. We know what the Gulf of Mexico can do from a tropical storm in 24 hours. We've seen it over the last several years. And we know it can happen. Rapid intensification can occur. So this is the latest GFS. Literally hot off the press. It's not even done running. It's only through 264 hours out right now. Same thing. We're starting it off Monday evening, September the 2nd, Labor Day evening, right? And you can't even hardly see what's going on here because the signal is so weak. And I'm actually going to flip it and look at the 500 millibar Vort here in a second, which shows us energy in the mid to upper levels of the atmosphere. But this is our wave here. I know it doesn't look like much. I agree. But just kind of follow it with your eyes, right? Notice how it pops off some yellows and some reds and orange here. And just follow it. See, it pops off an L there. This is Thursday morning, so looks like it's a little bit slower than the Euro. All right, this is right in the middle of the Eastern Caribbean. We continue, and it starts to develop a little bit more. So we're about 8 days out at this point, and this is still in the Central Caribbean. It's just going very slow, taking its time. Same thing as the Euro, right? It's just slower. It moves kind of a weak tropical storm right over Jamaica. Like next weekend, not this weekend, next weekend, right? And then it begins to strengthen this, okay? And then we take it to about, it looks like it picks up a pretty fast pace at this point. We take this 10 days out, just like we did with the Euro. And we have a strengthening tropical cyclone in the Western Caribbean. And guess where it's heading? It's heading towards the Gulf of Mexico. And yes, I will just go on and keep this running. I only have it out to 276 hours out anyways. And it gets in the Gulf of Mexico. And what do you expect this to do in the Gulf of Mexico this time of the year? Watch how that millibar drops. For example, 993 here, tucked into the northwest corner of the Caribbean. And then watch how as that number drops. And if you're not familiar with the millibar and everything like that, the lower the number on a low pressure, the stronger the storm system. So of course, this is probably, I can already tell you where this is heading. This is heading into a major hurricane right to the Gulf coastline. And I can't even see the rest of the run. You're probably going to see this shared all over social media. Just remember, look how far out we are. 276 hours out. This is not this coming Monday night. This is next Monday night after that. I'm talking about like the night of the 9th into the morning of the 10th of September. So, yeah. I'm telling you, there's an opportunity here that we're going to be tracking this for a while. And you can see this in kind of the Vort map, right? You kind of back this all the way back up to this, and you're thinking, well, where is this coming from? Well, if you look at the energy, there it is. Mid to upper levels of the atmosphere. See that little kind of area in yellow, orange, and burgundy or red here? And watch how it just kind of tightens up, kind of comes together here, and then all of a sudden, I mean, it's kind of an eyesore on your screen right here, right? So, yeah. Concerning signal here. All right, now if you look at the Canadian, and we'll kind of go this a little bit quicker because Canadian icons certainly aren't models that we really zoom into much. I only look at the Canadian icon when it comes to the tropics when I'm just kind of comparing it against the GFS and the Euro. And the Canadian guys gets this going quick in the Eastern Caribbean. So by the time we're at Wednesday morning, the morning of September 4th, this is already a tropical storm south of Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic. It strengthens this into a hurricane, okay, kind of, and moves it right between Cuba and Jamaica, and all of a sudden has this at a category 1-ish hurricane making landfall in the west coast of the southern coast of Cuba, west coast of Cuba here, moves it over Cuba, and then weakens it a little bit, but then it's exactly where it is on the GFS, right? It has as a 986 millibar hurricane with a wide open Gulf of Mexico right in front of it. Not trying to freak anybody out, guys, but even me, so much chatter about what's going on with this hurricane season, and I'm not saying this is exactly what's going to happen, but this is concerning. And you go back and you look at the Euro, right, which is a much weaker scenario through the Caribbean. In my opinion, it's more concerning if this stays weaker for longer. Because what happens is, say if this turns into a hurricane right here. Right here. Sure, there's a little bit of light ridging on top of this system that's going to try to force this to stay south. But if this turns into a category 1 or 2 hurricane here, maybe even a tropical storm, it's going to probably try to turn more north. And maybe it can void everybody into here and avoid getting into the Gulf of Mexico, which when they get into the Gulf of Mexico, folks, it's inevitable this time of the year. It's going to hit somebody, right? It's not like it's going to back up, hit in reverse and go back here and then head back out the Caribbean and then go back out to the Atlantic. We don't see anything like that. Never have. Okay, not that I know of. So we don't want this to stay weak and cruise through here, easy light Sunday morning, then all of a sudden get right here and then explode. Because that is a possibility. We've seen it. We see it a lot during hurricane season, right? And same thing with the icon, guys. And I've actually hadn't even looked at the icon yet. And here it comes. You can see it on your screen here, 1,007 millibar low. And this only goes out about 120 hours. So this goes out to the afternoon of September 3rd. And I know it's hard to see here, but that's 1,003 already millibar weak tropical storm or so, or depression, just tucked inside the Caribbean on the western side of the Lesser Antilles. So honestly, what you take today's model guidance, what you see here, and I'm about to look at the ensembles too. And in fact, before I say this, let's just go on and look at the European ensemble. So this was, what's wild is, you know, the EPS, European Ensemble, which makes up 51 members, and in this case on Weather Nerds, throws them all in the output for us, shows us all the simulated runs that do run here, and then puts an L on your screen for us to see them all. Okay, so in this case, the European Ensemble is actually stronger than its operational run. So we're going to initialize this for this coming Sunday evening, right? Already has a bunch of weak lows here, higher millibars, and then it gets us most of these into the Caribbean, right? The form, and then it kind of gets weird. We got some members that slow down back here, some members that speed up, but in general, that's at least half of 51 right in here. I'm not going to stop and try to count every single one, but you know, this is only going to go out about, let's just take it all the way out to not this Saturday, but next Saturday. This is how long we could potentially be talking about this system. And we got a pretty huge spread, right? I mean, we got a 941 like major hurricane over here. We got some members over here. We got some members over here. So of course it spreads out. I mean, that's nothing that's uncommon at all with, you know, long range tracking with the tropics. One thing you'll note here is that big wave that kind of is back way out in the eastern Atlantic too. There's a pretty solid signal for this too. But we're not really going to focus on that one for now. So now I'll say this. If we take everything that just went over, right? So what I've gathered here is we had a strong uptick overnight into this morning. The lunchtime models were kind of, it's almost like they dropped off a little bit. But now this evening, they're pretty aggressive again. So this is telling me, remember I told you in this morning's video, hey, if we get a solid 24 hours of this, then this could be something that we need to be a little bit more concerned about. And we're pretty much there. We're pretty much there. So a couple things that we'll talk about, and this might be the part of the video that might bore some people just because, you know, we start to nerd out with you a little bit. But we'll talk about sea surface temperature. So this is indicated in Celsius. There's not really a great map that will pull it up in Fahrenheit. I think there is somewhere, but you know, this is so easy to pull up on Tropical Tidbits here. So you'll notice in the Gulf of Mexico, 30, 31, even some 32 degrees Celsius. That's equivalent to Fahrenheit and about the mid to upper 80s in Fahrenheit, right? I mean, look at the Western Caribbean. I mean, all of the Caribbean, 30, 31 degrees Celsius, a couple 29s. Southwest Atlantic warming back up after Ernesto cruised through. It's even starting to warm up a little bit more from Debbie a couple weeks ago. But still a little bit cool off the Carolina coastline. Pretty wild to see the water still a little bit cool. I think that they're just still recovering from Debbie, to be honest with you. But if this tropical system does form, guys, all right, I'm going to go in blue here. All right, here it comes. It's going to probably cruise through here. Maybe through here. Potentially through here, but through here. And we do not want this to get into here. And I'm not purposely ignoring everybody in between, right? I'm not ignoring you guys right in here, Jamaica, Cuba, Hispaniola. I don't want you guys to think that. But from based off what model guidance we have, it looks like this takes a while to get going. So I guess what I'm saying is we're speaking as if we know this is going to form, right? If this, wherever this makes them, I think in my opinion, its maximum potential will be met most likely if it gets into the Gulf of Mexico, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So we don't want that, right? We don't at all. So anyways, basically to sum all that up, sea surface temperatures support a major hurricane, okay? And I think most of us already know that. We look at the upper wind pattern. Now, this is winds at 200 millibars, way in the upper levels of the atmosphere, 35, 40,000 feet up in the air. We look at this when we look to see if there's a favorable upper wind pattern. Is there a lot of shear? What's going on? So I'll look at the operational Euro, and you see the L popping up on your screen here. So if we look at this, and in fact, I'm going to actually look at the GFS. So I'm going to kind of flip it up on you here a little bit. If you look at the GFS, it doesn't show much development, but even right here, okay, it shows the low pressure. This is next Thursday morning. You see, one thing to note, Northern Hemisphere, low pressure is going to spin cyclonically. So the flow around this in the low to mid levels is probably going to go like this. Well, it is going to go, not probably. Okay. Now, if you look at the lines around this, you see these kind of lines here with the almost arrowheads embedded into it. If you notice, there's air in the upper levels above this tropical system being pushed out away from this system. Okay, yes, for you folks that are regular tuners that tune in regularly, I should add, you already know where I'm going with this. So this has a nice divergence flow. Basically, winds are getting pushed out away from this system. This is allowing for more air to rise, to breathe. That gets pushed out and dispersed out. This allows for more air to rise. So basically creates kind of a no shear environment. So that's something we watch for. Now, I think any system is probably dealing with some sort of shear. So you sort of have this feature right here kind of whiplashing down here. This could be creating some shear on this storm to the north. We just got to watch all these features. Okay, but you continue to move. In general, it gets right into here. And then this is when it has what I would say is an explosive environment to really rapidly intensify. At this point, massive divergence aloft, what we call a upper level anticyclone, which means that just basically above this system, the flow is anticyclonic. So it's moving in the opposite direction, being dispersed around this system. What does this do for this system? It creates an environment that supports rising air, continuous shower and storm activity. If you get continuous shower and storm activity with these tropical systems, it creates a very moist, cocooned environment for this low-level circulation. Therefore, it can improve its structure, and then it could have the potential to rapidly intensify. So that's how it works. If some people have made it this deep into the nerd portion of the video, and that's why it gets into the Gulf of Mexico. And ultimately, there it is. There's this run a little bit further out. I mean, this is all the way out to September 11th. It's a 958 millibar low heading right towards the Gulf Coast. It's because it just is over bathtub waters of the Gulf of Mexico. And, I mean, the environment in the upper levels totally supports rapidly intensification. Okay, but that's way far out. Now, why is this creep into the Gulf of Mexico in the shorter term? Well, it's so hard to see because the system's so weak. Is likely going to be weak over the next several days. But that is our low right here. Right, and flow around this weak ridging that you see in orange is kind of going like this. Right? Okay, so this system is weak, so it's easily getting influenced by these steering currents in the upper levels of the atmosphere. So the flow around this ridge is pushing this low, pretty much right into the Caribbean. Now you get this back off here, continue to move forward, and that light ridging is pretty much embedded in light ridging, and it actually strengthens over the Southwest Atlantic. That will keep it at bay into the Caribbean. Now, eventually a trough is likely going to dig. In fact, long range models, if you heard my kid, if you heard that yell in the background, that's one of my kids. Long range guidance, even middle to long range guidance, shows a lot of troughing over the eastern U.S. A trough of low pressure is what I'm trying to say. Basically, we have an opportunity for a cool down next week for the eastern U.S. But that trough is going to basically bust this ridge wide open. I mean, there's not going to be much ridging in place anyways, but you see all this white right up into here, into here, into here. Our low pressure is right here. So if this thing can start to strengthen, it's not going to have any problem, and it's right here, to begin to turn like this. It's hard to imagine if we continue to get this consistent troughing over the eastern U.S., this is going to go right into Central America, because this is eventually is going to strengthen, right? And if you keep this going, it does. A couple last frames, it begins to strengthen, even though the euro keeps it so weak you can barely tell. If you actually go and look at the GFS, you can see the blob of blue here indicating our low pressure, and there's just a wide open weakness in the pattern and the steering currents. I mean, there's nothing but white here. You're not seeing any sort of ridge kind of build over this area that's going to steer it more so this way. I mean, there's honestly just a weak flow aloft, and this honestly would scream a very slow-moving hurricane right into the Gulf of Mexico, which is not what you want to see. So, and guys, I'm not trying to freak anybody out. I don't want you guys to think that, but this would be a worst-case scenario, right? And you don't want to see it. We're going to see a lot of models switching up, and we're going to dissect this each and every day, probably twice a day, unless the signal completely goes away, which it could. But stay tuned, guys. Appreciate the support. The video this morning went haywire. I was not expecting it to get over 30,000 views, so that was different. And watch this one only get like 5. It's just the way it works. The YouTube algorithm is a weird thing. But if you're a new viewer, this is how our channel is. It's a family type atmosphere. There's nothing flashy. I do it in my bedroom. I just me and myself here. But welcome if you're a new viewer. Stick around. You're definitely going to get a ton of information from this channel. You're not going to get anything too flashy though. It's just straightforward information, just talking to you like you're right in front of me. So God bless all y'all. We'll do it again tomorrow morning. And yeah, stay safe out there.